And welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. We're here with the wrap-up podcast today. The first episode is on the weekend. We just had a little bit of footy, which is very exciting. As always, I've got the coach of Kiss My Behinds. Jake, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Mikey. Yeah, it was good to get a bit of footy under our belts. Two Vegas games, which I thought actually were quality games to show America. So I'm glad we got some good games that weren't bludgers. But yeah, it's just good to have back as always, SuperCoach. There's a few goods, there's a couple bads, and I'm looking forward to getting to it.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Got obviously got only the two games to cover today, as well as that we're got a new segment, a bit of a trivia show. We're gonna have a few guests on throughout the year from other podcasters, and I'll be having a little bit of a graph of how each of them tally, and just a new little segment to plug in. We'll also we put up a Facebook post with questions. Also, feel free. This is a live show this time, so for you guys that are tuning in now for the first time, me and Jake did our own version of preseason positions, and now we'll be doing the wrap-up pod. It's just extra content for the show, as it's very hard for Jake and I to make the show with Savs and Tim, so you'll get Savs and Tim's show on Tuesdays for TLT, and then they're on the burst show on Wednesday, as well as a wrap-up, which will be Sunday to Monday. Overall code 281645 is on there too. Any questions, just feel free to jot, and we'll have a question segment at the end. Obviously, we're one day before the other half of TLT. I guess a bit more excited for that TLT, as we've got 6 games to dissect. Other than that, I want to give a shout out to the NRL SuperCoach. They organised their first non-Vegas party yesterday. 3 of us, myself, Sabs, and Tim, all went down to that, and we had a great time. It was good. It was good to meet a lot of put faces to the voices of a lot of SuperCoach people or SuperCoach influencers that I've known for quite some time, and it was the first time to meet a host of them, as well as seeing Tommy Sanction, all those guys again. It was great, man. $25 food voucher, a few drink vouchers. Met Corey Parker. Sabs even met the Badge. Gavin Badger was there too, as well as Josh Reynolds. So that was a good day. A lot of fans come up to us, said hi. It was nice, and it was good. It'd be good if they do that each year. Good setup there at the Sports Star. Sadly, couldn't come along, Jake, but I'm sure we've caught you up to speed with the event.
Yeah, kind of gutted I missed out. Now I was had to play Oztag on a Sunday, work that out. So they're pretty gutted I missed out. It looked like a great day to watch some footy, and I'm sure that everyone was well into the SuperCoach players rather than the actual football, which kind of is what we're all about anyway. So yeah, it would have been a good bit of atmosphere there, and it sounded like a good time.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's get stuck into it. So we've got the 2 games to dissect here. I know a lot of other people are doing this content, and as always, you guys will listen to us for our perspective and our point of view. I kind of agree with Jake. 2 really good games. I enjoyed both the games. Looked awesome. It definitely, I want to do it one year. I think they did a good job at selling. Whether or not they did a good job of selling it to the Americans, I know they definitely did a good job with the Aussies that want to go over and make a holiday of it. The first game I thought was the better out of the 2. Just a bit more point scoring. I thought it was real back and forth at the start. Technically by odds, they were both upsets. 2 from 2 for me with my tipping comp, so good start. What do you make of the contest, Jake, before we go into some SuperCoach scores?
Just in the first game?
Yeah, first game.
Yeah, I thought, like you said early on, back and forth. I thought Manly, as they kind of got control of the game, were the far better side. I guess in terms of the games, I think as a spectacle, the first game was better, but as an NRL game, if you really into NRL, that second game I think was more of an NRL quality, like more quality, I guess. But yeah, that first game we saw some flashy stuff. Latrell was doing his bits. Manly were, pure speed and some great set plays. But yeah, I thought Manly were definitely a way better side. I know, and like you, Mikey, I did get 2 from 2 as well on the tips, so it's a good start. Nice. Positive that will not continue for the rest of the season. So
yeah, it's a tough round, and there's going to be lots of upsets in the round. So I think when you're tipping, don't look at the odds, especially from 1 to 5. Just pick them. I've still got another 2 upsets I picked for this round. before we go into the breakdown of the scores, Jake, how is your team scoring at the moment out of how many players?
My score is 328 off 5 players.
Fuck, that's actually pretty good.
Which is all right. I managed to luckily avoid the Piakura 4. So that's my score
huge.
Is
Did you have him in your side, or you just didn't pick him at all?
I just didn't pick him at all.
Huge. Like
for some reason, I took him out probably 2 days before Sunday's game, and I mean, you don't want to see a player go down, but I guess it's a
highly owned, highly picked player. Yeah. That's huge. Myself, I'm not doing so well. I'm 5 for 188. I copped Tupanua's 25. I copped the 4 to Piakura, and I also copped. I switched Kepi, who I was big on all preseason, to Spencer Linu last minute because I started to get worried about Kane Bradley, started to get worried about Bronson Sherry, and I thought Kepi's one guy that I'd like to save a bit of money on. So I went him down to Spencer, cost me 9 points and a possible suspension. But with the 50K, I need the 50K to possibly upgrade those 2 guys that I mentioned. So I don't regret it. This is kind of some of the tactics we were talking about. You've got to look ahead to this split round. And I know come team list, if there's some surprises, that 50K could make a lot of the difference. Like example, if I've got no money, Bronson Sherry to Drew Hutchinson is going to cost me over 10K. So if I don't want to lose, my main strategy was don't lose a gun or a mid-ranger you've been so high on just because team list doesn't work out. So happy to lose Kepi there to do it, although it cost me a bit of 9 points. Sammy Walker, 55 without other than a try contribution and the goals. I was pretty happy with that with a tougher matchup. But yet haven't had any of these big scorers play yet. What about Savs? Let's just a quick plug to him because he wasn't watching much of the footy yesterday, but the only times I saw him go nuts was when Latrell or Teddy did something because that's his fullback combo. And man, it's a nice start for him with that combo, but still a scary watch not having Ponga, Drinky, and co. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of still fired though. I think all the fullbacks, all the gun fullbacks that we kind of mentioned in our fullback run, they've all fired so far. So unless someone goes absolutely bonkers, I don't think you're going to really lose out too much with whoever you've picked. Because at the moment they've kind of all scored the same. Latrell's, the guy that's probably got a try ahead of everyone else, but you got Walsh, Teddy, and Turbo all around that 70 to 80 mark. So positive all there.
I just think a Cowboys and a Knights blowout, but either of those could see a 130 plus score from their fullbacks, especially with someone like Ponga goal kicking. And the thing I say to Savs is nailed it for round 1, but he also now has to sit back and watch Kalen Ponga while nearly every guy that owns him will have a VC or a C on him. That's what makes it scary when leaving out a popular option, knowing that they're going to be heavily favored with the armband, and that's going to make and break your week, no matter how good your fullbacks do.
Yeah, it's going to be a nervous watch for Savs, and hopefully it is a nervous and angry watch for us.
Yeah, well, it was a nervous watch for Tommy because I feel like there was maybe myself, Barnsey, and who was it? It was Brennan. That like Savage, I didn't have Tom, and everyone else had him. I know Sangster captained him, and it's kind of everyone was. It was weird at the start. It was like instead of people supporting teams, it was people just cheering when popular super coach options did well. So I think that was the coolest thing about watching it with a bunch of super coaches. You should have seen the room when Ben Trebojevic scored. Like it was like your team just won a grand final. Everyone, yeah, it was awesome. It was funny too. It was pretty good, and I'm sure it's one thing that nearly 90% of coaches had him. Like serious players, anyways, had him, and it was good to see him go over the line. Let's get into these scorers. Unless I've got a couple of questions here, but we'll get to them soon. So keep the questions coming through. We'll get to them. Top scorer of the game, Latrell Mitchell, big game player. We said it in the preseason. We've said it all the time that Latrell Mitchell doesn't need his draw. Like the draw can be pretty irrelevant for him. With the big matchups, he can score big against anyone. And he loves the big games. He was at 110. What did you make of his performance? And is he someone that's on your radar after just this one game?
It was definitely a Latrell performance. I think as long as Souths are scoring tries, he's going to be involved in them. So as long as you're getting attacking stats, you've got nothing to worry about. Latrell's going to be involved in them no matter what. He looked, I don't know whether it had different jersey or something, but he looked a little bit slimmer as well. Like he looked fitter. He didn't really change his style in play much at all. He was still, bumping off people. I think he run over Lachlan Croker. And if, typical Latrell, ran over a try, threw a couple, quick passes onto wingers to score. So it was just Latrell, but definitely, I mean, we kind of said we didn't go Latrell because the South were a tough draw and there was better options, but he's definitely an option. And I think if you run into, if Cody starts playing a bit better and South play a bit better, I thought they were a bit ordinary to what we were used to. So I think if he's already carving up. So I think definitely one to watch. Maybe when South's draw gets a bit easier or one of the fullbacks, gets injured, touch wood, or, aren't playing as well. So, yeah, Latrell, he's proved why he's definitely an option.
Yeah, 100%. One thing important to note is we've got updates already for both teams. They seem to surprise us like this with round one, and it goes back to the usual next day or a couple of days from now, but we'll take it while we can. It only took them a couple of hours after that second game to get the first one, and a couple of hours later we got the next one. So to anyone that hasn't realised, these are updated scores. Top scorer for Manly, shocked but not shocked, it's Ruben Garrick. That doesn't matter where he is. He always seems to be an option, and he's going to be an option yet again. 99 from him. Try without a line break. Definitely some attacking stats in there. And obviously with the 6 tries and 6 goals, that obviously helps someone like Ruben Garrick. Somebody that Sabs was very big on in the preseason, Olakau'atu, with a 90.
I love when you try and say his name.
Olakau'atu.
You always pause before you say it as well because you're trying to think.
Yeah, his name always baffles me, but Olakau'atu, or however you say it, 97 from him, scored a try, their first try to be fair, and just looked good and looks to be the premium second row to have because it just doesn't matter who he has. What are your thoughts on Garrick and Olakau'atu?
Olakau'atu first. He was damaging. Every time he got the ball, he just ran over. He was in front of him. He definitely got the one up on Colin Matangi. I thought he was pretty quiet, mainly because of Olakau'atu just kept running over him. As for Garrick, we kind of stayed away from him because he was playing centre, but he still had the same work. He still had 18 runs, which you kind of get from a winger. He still had a lot of ball in attacking sets, so around the 20-line. I mean, he dived over on a loose ball for a kick, but even then he was still one of their main attacking weapons in attack. I don't know whether that was because of the narrower field. They were less likely to use their wingers, but I mean, he had quite a good base. He had 18 tackles, a couple of missed, which you could kind of expect from a winger moving into centre. Throw in 18 runs, kind of had base of 40. Add the goal kicking on. I know Manly's got a lot of points, so you're going to get quite a lot of goal kicking, but yeah, he's definitely going to be a premium option for centre wing. I know a lot of people were scared off, but I don't see why we were scared off now. He's proving us all pretty stupid.
Yeah, he's always going to be an option. I know he comes at an expensive price, but he's always someone that you're going to want to have. And we always say it with some of these guys, getting them before the crowd gets them is always great to do because once they're higher owned, it's harder to make movement with some of these guys. So it's better to get on the wave before everyone else does. Don't forget too, it's only one round. A lot of these, especially when we get to the Roosters game with a lot of the injuries, we still don't have a story of, the minutes make up. We still don't know 4 forwards on the bench for all these games. We need to see a couple more rounds before we panic. And don't panic too hard unless suspension or injury. Fair enough. Or if you really think I need this person, I got it wrong. But it is still only one round. Obviously, we're still going to cover it as a wrap-up podcast. And obviously, we're just going to plug them into our radars and go, hey, his scores might not look as good as what they are. And I think apart from that, Richie Kenner was pretty high. But let's just go through more so the SuperCoach relevant guys. Damien Cook with 68 attacking stats. Still looks like a bit of an option. Not too bad for a hooker. next expensive after Harry Grant. Burbo, big cheers for him. 72. Played the full 80. Did he, Jake?
Yeah,
Pretty sure
he did play the full 80. I think they didn't really have a back row. Corey Waddell, he's played a bit of back row, but he came on and just played a bit of middle. I think he played 15, 20-ish minutes. So the only one, I guess, is the big scare for Burbo is Josh Schuster. But the fact that Manly won, and I think Burbo is a better fit for Manly and Luke Brooks than what Josh Schuster is. Luke Brooks prefers someone that's just going to get a, short ball, run a hard line, which Burbo does. Schuster prefers to get the ball and does a bunch of fancy stuff. So it's interesting
just
to see what
chimed in saying he
played
Jake. Yeah, played 73. Still pretty good. The big thing that we were looking and was whether or not Carl Lorden, and the shout out to Wacko's Whispers, he actually pointed it out to me about Carl Lorden potentially coming in and playing instead of like coming in and playing second row. He could steal minutes on Burbo, but instead he jumped in at hooker and was in the hooker rotation and took minutes off him, which was good. But at that price point, he looks like a pretty safe play around 70 minutes. And for the guys that took the risk and played him, 72 points there. And look how many times Tom was just feeding him the ball. And you can see so many, turbo to Burbo calls happening this year. And they just hit that edge so much more. They've got Cooler over that side too now. So it's looking like a pretty deadly left edge. As well as that, I've got one. We'll stay on the Manly. We've got a question here to match it. So we've got Killer Dow 10. Thoughts on Luke Brooks? Pretty happy I got him and saved the cash. Coming at 560K and he scored 59. I don't want to rain on your parade, Killer Dow, but he scored a line break try in the final 10 minutes, which netted him about 30 points. Without that, you're looking at a score of Brooksy of about 28 to 29. Looked amazing in actual NRL, and I think this is what kind of stopped me from looking at Brooks was that he's going to look better in NRL than he is for SuperCoach. And I'm not saying he's definitely got a 90 or 100 in him, but all I'm trying to say is I think he got saved with that score of 59. So I want to go, 59. But for the price point of 560 is good. But as I said, if no attacking stats come his way, it's going to be a score of 30-ish by the looks of it. Jake, did he kind of pick your interest?
I mean, he definitely passed the eye test, like you said, in terms of NRL. SuperCoach, yeah, like we said, got lucky ass with a try at the end. But, I mean, he was meters away from another try earlier on in the game, kind of dropped it over the line. Could have had a try assist to Tom Turbo, who dropped it over the line as well. So, I mean, he's definitely passed the eye test. They seem to be doing a lot of attack, I guess, through him. Whether he gets the try assist, probably more a try contribution because you saw Tommy sweep and they kind of ran out a bit of room towards the left, so they missed out in terms of like finding the winger to score. But I think Manly are going to score a lot of points. So I think Luke Brooks is going to be involved in, a couple of tries. Not the worst. I mean, I was definitely surprised by him. I thought he probably could have scored better than what he actually got. I thought he was a bit unlucky a few times, like we've gone through. But yeah, if you got him, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, score wise, like we've gone, but yeah, it's not the worst.
Yeah. I tend to agree. Like, as I said, he wouldn't be someone I'd be rushing to bring in, but if you took the chance and started with him, it's a first, not a bad score to start with. Oh, we've had Jake drop out of the camera there. I'll keep on pushing through. So we've got the next score that kind of interests me. Cameron Murray with 58. SuperCoach relevant guys. Realistically, guys that people are over. There's not really many of the Manly players that, Cherry Evans with 62, but I wouldn't say massive SuperCoach relevant. Of course, Tommy Turbo with 81. I think, as I said yesterday, it's good for owners. It's good and bad. It's good for both owners and non-owners. As a non-owner, I saw that 81 and I saw how many opportunities he missed. And for that first round, his score could have easily been 120 to 130 plus. And then if you're an owner, you'll take 82 because he looked awesome. He looked good. He looked fit. And I think he's just going to continue to get better. And those high scores are going to come. I know I'm only looking week to week and going, come on, Drinky, just outscore him week to week. but it's nervous watch every week. But yeah, the main thing is his fitness, and he looks pretty good. You ended up sticking with him, Jake. I think you're an owner by the sound of your score.
Yeah,
Happy with his?
yeah, I stuck with him, and yeah, more so just happy with how he played. He was involved in everything like we expect. Looked fit. He was fast. And I guess if he's gonna keep doing that, I'm glad I kind of went the turbo route. But then again, like all these fullbacks, it's a nervous watching all of them. I'm sure. I mean, I got Ponga in the next game, but like I was nervous watching Tedesco. He looked good as well, and I will get to him. But at Latrell, I'm going to be nervous watching Drinkwater because I know that a lot of people own all these guys because we've kind of distributed our ownerships around quite well with the fullbacks. Apart from, I guess, Pong is probably the most owned by a lot. But yeah, it's going to be everyone's going to be watching the other fullbacks and hoping they go bad, watching their own go good because, yeah, that's pretty much the main difference in a lot of sides.
Yeah, 100%. Injury watch before I cover the other bunnies options. That's a good and bad. Jason Saab done his hamstring, and Ruben Garrick did a little bit of an injury as well. Saw the physio talking today about now the problem that they've got, although they've got the extended week off next week, traveling on a plane straight after a day with an injury isn't great for healing. So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of then. But obviously the super coach potential there, and Saab's out for a bit. I personally think that Raymond Vega, or however you do his last name, he could be someone that comes up rather than Tommy Talau, because I think they'd go for an out-and-out winger and tried pretty strongly. But something to keep an eye out on. Hamstring injuries can always, differ. And if we see him out for over 4 weeks or something like, or 6 weeks would be practical for a super coach option, we may have a cheapish, manly option. No, Vega's not bottom dollar, and apologize, I'm definitely saying that one wrong, but let's just roll with that. Bunnies, controversial one. I know a lot of people are on the fence. Supercoach had to tell you're crazy. Other people go, well, I've got to take a chance. Is it Jacob Gagai or Dan Gagai's brother? He rocked up with a score of 55, which would have been very happy for owners. He did cross over for a line break try, so he's another one that's going to solely rely on tries. But at the same time, they seem to play both sides of the field. And I'm pretty sure it was Latrell that threw the cutout ball to him, didn't he? 90% sure it was Latrell that threw the cutout ball.
Latrell, yeah.
And that's what I mean. Latrell roaming, playing both sides. You're going to get a lot of those, cutout balls towards him. So, look, the main thing is why a lot of us held off is we're worried about his job security. I'm still worried about his job security. If he passes Isaac Thompson, then he might be a good downgrade if one of these Kane Bradleys or someone fails. So, your thoughts on Gagai? Has he now entered your watch list? I guess he's always been at everyone's watch list if he had security, but did that game change your mind in any way?
Well, forget the watch list. He's actually in my team. So,
okay, I should ask you that in the first place.
I rolled the dice on him. Before I guess he played, I was under the impression that he's kind of won that wing spot until Munro gets back. I don't think they would have played him on the wing because he can also play centre. He's played a bit of centre as well. So
what about Isaac Thompson? You worried about him? That's the main reason I didn't do it, because he's not allowed there because of his criminal record.
I mean, there was a bit of they had to fight to get Jacob Gagai there as well. I don't know whether that was just in terms of the squad because he kind of wasn't maybe a signed player. So they went long lengths to get him involved in the game. So I don't know, I just have a feeling. I think he played his way into keeping his spot in the meantime. I thought Kenner and Isaiah Tass were quite ordinary, especially defensively. So I don't think they're going to really keep their spot. I know White comes in for one, and potentially they keep the other spot. I don't know. I just think he's until he has a bad game, I think he's going to stick with him. I think
if he survives Thompson and if he survives the Whiten drawback and then obviously their little Monroe, then he's definitely going to be a trade as a bottom dollar option. So, you know what I mean? Kudos to the guys at John Tom, but it is not over yet. And another popular option, we had Jai Arrow with a score of 39 and does what he normally does, drags Supercoach Supercoach people in. You get him, and then he goes, ha! And pumps out another mediocre score, went off in the first half. Didn't get as many minutes as some people thought. By the looks of it, Jake, it looks like you're an owner.
I unfortunately am an owner. And there's a few questions here about Jai Arrow. I'll probably hold for another week. I think Terrell May's probably the guy that everyone wants to go Arrow straight to him, or Spencer Lanu to him. Any forward that you had playing that was disappointing straight to Terrell May. So I think I'll wait a week, see what the Roosters sort of dish up in terms of minutes. Maybe Jai Arrow gets more minutes, more involved. I mean, he kind of took 2 massive hits and was holding his rib and then his shoulder in separate hits. He caught one in the jaw, so it was kind of a bit of a punching bag in the game. So I'll give one more look and then kind of rethink what I'm going to do there. I thought Jacob Host, I mean, what's the point of having him in the team for 15 minutes? I don't even think he got his jersey dirty, poor Jacob Host. And then he kind of got hooked with 8 to go, which I thought was a bit pointless as well. So I don't know. I think, I don't know, one more week for good old Jai Arrow. But yeah, like you said, drags us in and then, dishes up shit.
Yep, 100%. I know someone also had a question, Joshua Miller. Hold Arrow one more week, or have we seen enough to trade to May already? I don't want to fully go into May now, as we'll go into in the Roosters pit, which we're very close to. Look, if you didn't like what you saw, and I think he's a bit of a plotter and he's going to keep dishing out the same, you could take the risk, or you could wait one more week, as what I'm going to get into with May is, I think his PPM is amazing, but I do want to see the minutes happen again. There was a couple of Roosters injuries, and on top of that, we got JWH to come back. But I'll go into the Roosters breakdown in minutes because I've got a bit of stuff for you guys. Wrap it up with that one, I guess. The Kepi and Totola were some options. Kepi with a 41, Totola with a 37. Kepi played the first 25-ish minutes or something like that, and then he went off, come back on for the last 16 or 17 roughly. Didn't look too bad. Didn't really offload the ball too much, but looked pretty good in actual NRL. And Corey Parker was pumping up his tires to do with that what you will. But yeah, I guess 380K, I guess right now, to be honest, it's meh. It's kind of what you're expecting and kind of what you wanted.
What he's scoring, which you want someone that's got a bit of value.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, that wraps up the first game. Is that all the... Just a couple of things. Latrell turned it on for Vegas. Yes, he did. Turbo looks so dangerous there by Dino. And that's all the questions associated with that game. Keep your questions coming through if you've just joined now, guys. Can be about, what's happened over the weekend or before TLT. If you've got a bit of concerns with your team, hit us up. The Roosters upset the Broncos 20-10, as Jake said before. For an NRL fan, this was a pretty good contest. Back and forth, a lot of intensity, a bit of mongrel in it with Reece Walsh and constantly getting fired up. And our top scorer, Joey Manu. We talked about a guy that we kind of not yet in Ruben Garrick, and this is another guy. My mate Diamond jumped on him, and 106, beautiful flick pass. It did look like it went forward, but nonetheless was a beautiful flick pass. And just looks so dangerous every time he touched the ball. 106, what cost you about 650K. Good performance by him. Joey Manu, Jake, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he even looked a lot busier than what we were used to with him playing centre. So definitely an option. I think no one's really kind of gone premium options unless they kind of change the build of their side. But yeah, he did look good. He had how many runs did he have? He had 18 runs, which usually playing centre, he's lucky to get 10. So the fact he was so involved, as long as he's involved, he's going to get tackle bust. There's going to be tries and line breaks involved. So yeah, definitely on the watch list for everyone. I think I'm sure once we get lockout at the end of this round, there'll be a few people bringing in Joey Manu because he scored a ton, and then he'd probably go in and score another couple tons. So that's just the sort of player he is. But yeah, very impressed by him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people held back from these attacking Roosters with the tough draw. Good hit out for them, and they, it's nice for them. This is only one of the first time. They've been pretty poor in round one. I think they've won from the last 6 or something like that. So add another one to the string and look like one of the better teams on paper, and they perform well if they can consistently do it. I don't think the matchups are going to be as bad, but don't rush these guys. Like, it depends who you're pulling out. If you get an injury, then definitely he's an option. But at the same time, this is one game, guys. Don't just calm down a bit. We got James Tedesco with a score of 70, Victor Radley with a score of 78. Important time for Victor Radley too. He played a lot of minutes. The key thing I want to point out here with the Roosters is Tupanua went down with what looks to be a suspected knee injury. 42-minute mark. See, Wong had also an ankle issue, I believe. We're missing JWH. So obviously those two things, like at the same time too, like we don't know if Robbo's going to play forward roulette because a lot of these guys are expendable. Like Butcher was playing on an edge. Butcher was playing in the middle. He was doing this, and like they've got so many expendable guys that can constantly switch in, switch out. So it's also why I want to see it again because Lindsay Collin played extended minutes. I really want to see who, when JWH comes back, I'm assuming he's going to take minutes from Lindsay Collins. But then how does the rest of these minutes dish out? Does Tupanua and Wong, do they recover in time? Lucky they've got the week off. So hopefully it didn't, what the physio reported didn't seem too bad from what they've heard from Tupanua as he was walking around in the post-match, which is good to hear. But I think that's the most important to think when looking at the forwards here. Terrell May, outstanding, great PPM, but all those reasons that I just said are my segue into Terrell May and why he's hard on my watch list. And if I can find money to do a Spencer to him if Spencer gets suspended, definitely, but I would like to see him repeat it. Jake, Terrell May, if you didn't start with him, thoughts on him after that performance?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people, he was on the radar before the season started and through the preseason. He was named on the bench. A lot of people jumped off him, but I don't think it mattered. I mean, he came on and didn't come off after the rest of the game. I think Robbo said after the game in an interview that, he kind of just throws Terrell May out there. He doesn't show any signs of fatigue, gets in cover tackles and all that. So he's not going to take him off. But again, they did have injuries to both back rowers. It seemed all a bit out of sorts with their forward rotation. Like they had Nafahu White only play 16 minutes. If you throw, say, Ruia Hargraves in there, I think he's going to be playing more than 16 minutes. So their forward minutes, I think, are going to be a bit different. I don't think we're going to get Spencer in the next couple of games, but I think that still falls in May's favour anyway. Hargraves will come in and just play whatever minutes Spencer was playing anyway. So I think one more look for me. And I think a lot of people are kind of weighing up jumping on next week. Arrow's a full guy. Spencer, obviously, someone that they're going to have to get rid of if he is suspended. Getting that, I think it's maybe 70K-ish, I think, might be the upgrade. A lot of people will do that, and I completely understand that. If you have to get rid of someone for your second front rower, go for it. But if you're waiting on someone like a Jai Arrow, Totola, Kepi, all these guys, give them one more week. Don't jump the gun just yet. Get it one more look, and then bring in Terrell May if he does exactly the same thing that he did this week.
I know some people will think like, they like what they saw. They don't think the reasons we've just said are going to affect him. And if that's the case, then I'm happy for you to jump on. It's just the main thing is who you're selling him to. He's 430K. He's priced at an average of 42. And he scored 64 yesterday. And his just work rate's phenomenal. So even with those guys back, let's say he gets 5 to 10 minutes less. Let's say 10. He could still probably bang out a 50. And that's 8 points of value in him. And as you said before, I think the fitness thing is the huge thing. And if he continues to pump that out, like especially after a big preseason, do that in round one in a Vegas game with all that his intensities, pretty impressive. I know with Spencer out, I think the other depending factor is how does Sam Hughes go? How does McKaylee go? How does all these backup options go? Because if they do, then you might not have to make a move as fast. But if you want Terrell, like I know if there's some way that I can shed a bit of extra cash, I would, even if cheapies get named tomorrow, I'd love to save a bit of cash and try and find a way 100K to do Spencer to Terrell, because a move like that, and I have a few questions around, who to trade Spencer to, boys. Honestly, if he's going to be out a bit and you didn't like what you look from him, I think obviously I'm saying this because we've only seen these teams play. So I think out of the teams that have played, I don't hate the Spencer Terrell May trade. Is it a bit early? Yes, it is, but I think you got to take the punt with some of these guys. I don't know if you remember back, Jake, Isaiah Papali'i, when he come in and he started to do a job and the minutes and everyone goes, no, he's not going to keep this up. He's not going to keep this up. We kept waiting. We kept waiting. And we kept waiting. Kept doing it. Then all these other priorities come around the corner. And then all of a sudden, you were paying so much more money for him. And in a position that is such a barren wasteland, you'll take a guy at that price scoring 50s and 60s because if he continues to do it, it'll be the cheapest you get him for.
Yeah, 100%. I guess a good comparison there to Isaiah Papali'i a couple of years ago. A bit different, I guess. Papali'i was kind of on the edge. Someone else was coming back from injury will take his spot. But, like Bryce has said there, I think May is a must. I wouldn't say a must. I mean, we've only seen 4 teams play. Like Jason Taumalolo, same price, could come out, do the exact same
shock the world. Yeah.
It could be the Jason Taumalolo of 3-4 years ago. So, I guess he May definitely on the radar in terms of front row. Like you said, one of your favourite sayings, barren wasteland. I did get you myself when you said that. I was like, yeah, that's Mikey all over, barren wasteland.
Explain it.
Very impressive. Has an offload, gets through a ton of work, which is just SuperCoach gold for us.
Yeah, not a must-have, but definitely like that trade if Linu's suspended, even if he isn't. We're talking about Spencer Linu right now, so let's just jump to him. I did mention at the start, I jumped to him. He was on a score of 40. What I did like is he played the first 27 minutes, and then he come back on for the last 17. So that was played about 43 minutes, which is like an extra 10 minutes than what he normally got. So me and Barnesy were pretty happy with that. Then he down-dated 9 points. So I was like, oh, that's a killer. I could have done it 330 with 40 with the increase in minutes. A bit of attacking stats could come. But as we predicted with him and what we're worried about, no offloads. He's just a big runner of the ball.
Battering ram.
I don't think it's a major rush to get out of your sides. But if Sam Hughes, McKaylee, and whoever your other 2 front rowers don't perform and they're around the 30 to 35, then I think all of a sudden, if Spencer Linu is your front row number 2, then I personally will be wanting to upgrade him because I'm not going to cop 30 to 35. I want someone that can give me 50. And I think that's worth the 100K investment. Jake, do you tend to agree?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Mikey. I think, there's no point really hovering around the same and getting the similar points. I thought, his first team was pretty good. I don't know, he down-dated a lot.
Huge.
Ran a lot of decoys, which was, I guess, kind of a bit annoying for owners. But then again, none of their forwards really, apart from May, really had a lot of runs. They do a lot of their work out from their backs. So, I mean, I did like his first stint. Then he went and did something stupid in his second stint. So, I mean, obviously potentially going to be forced to offload him. It's kind of a bummer because, like you said, he was all right for what you're kind of getting. But, you need to go up, I think, unless one of these GPs, like you said, are going to be banging out 40s, then, you're going to have to go up a bit higher, spend a bit of cash, deal with the front row, and then not have to deal with it for a while.
Yeah, 100%. I think, if someone like Cotter performs and then you pair him with like a Terrell May, if you continue to do this, it'll be happy days. But let's not forget, we've only seen 2 games. We've got 6 more to come this weekend and things are going to change. You might find some injuries and stuff happen, and that's going to force your trades. We do get the trade boost. Our podcasts are pretty big on, I think most of us guys don't plow through them, but it's a good tool if you don't start so well to help yourself recover by fixing your team ASAP with a boost. So everyone has different tactics. Obviously, if you started crash hot, then I would hold them, but I feel like they're better used the first half of the season than later, just for some of the new listeners. But obviously, everyone's got all their own different tactics. That's what makes this game so fun. Roosters, the other big one, I did mention it before with the injuries. C. Wong had a little bit of a niggle, and Tupanua looked like he was going to play the whole 80. We won't know if he was going to play the whole 80 now. Scored 26 in 40 minutes without any attacking stats, and I was happy with that. Couple opportunities where he nearly went over. And, for 398K, it just sucks he didn't play out the rest of that game. And what a week to do it, partnering him up with Pia Corey is going to have Sting owners. A total combined score of 30. Did you jump on the Tupanua train? Or you
Yeah,
dodged
so
another bullet?
yeah, no, I went to Panua, and I was kind of impressed with him in the first half. You know, got 25 points in the first half, no attacking stats. They kind of didn't really attack his side to get tackles in either. Um, yeah, it kind of does suck because we're not going to know his minutes. I thought it was a bit weird. Sil Wong came off in like the first 25 minutes. That Butch went on the edge. So I have a feeling they might be rotating both their back rowers, I guess, throughout the game with whoever's on the bench.
Which could
Um,
be a killer.
could be a killer. So I guess have another look. Hopefully they're both fit for next week, so we get the week after, I guess. So we get a bit of an idea, and then we can, make the judgment call on whether we get rid of these Roosters back rowers, because if they're only going to be playing, 50, 55 minutes, you'd rather someone playing 80.
Yeah, you might have to go to someone like Firma if you miss out on him if he performs really well. But at the same time, yeah, I don't panic on Tupanua. Let's see it a full game of what the rotation looks like. But I think if he gets, say, whatever minutes he gets one game, I don't know if they're going to consistently give him. That's why I'm a bit worried with the Roosters roulette. But if you chose to play the Roosters roulette, I think you just got to stick with it till we have more information. Over the other side of the park, top scorer for the Broncos, Reece Walsh, another one of the, so far, all the fullbacks absolutely firing. All four of them. Yeah, all four of them fired. 81 for Reece Walsh. Looked good. You just knew he was going to score a try. A bit of a mongrel. Caused enough about troubles. Every time there was a bit of a scuffle, he was there. I know Timmy was really hoping he swung a punch to get his bolt protection right. He did get his bolt protection right for the NFL throw. Good on him. But yeah, Reece Walsh, change your mind?
Yeah, I was kind of me and I guess a lot of others were kind of off him. His ownership was higher than I thought. I thought it wasn't really talked about um, around what I was hearing, but yeah, he just did what Reece Walsh does. I thought he would have struggled with the narrow field, and there was times when he'd do what he usually do and just sprint across field, and he kind of run out of space a bit. The numbers weren't aligning for him, so I think on an NRL field, I think he could have even had a bigger score than what he did. But involved in everything, I think he was clearly their best player. Anything that he was kind of involved in could have potentially led to points. I think otherwise they kind of lacked a bit. Their halves didn't really do much. So it was all kind of came through Reece Walsh, which if you're going to pick him in Supercoach, that's what you want your fullback doing, getting involved, just like Tommy was in everything.
Yeah, 100%. Who else do we got the Broncos? Let's just quickly go through some of these. Payne Haas was 71. Did what Payne Haas does?
I thought with Payne Haas, I thought his minutes were maybe a little bit inflated because they lost Piacora early. Carrigan went to the edge, so they kind of lost Carrigan in the middle for 80. Then they kind of have to adjust the rest of their bench rotation to kind of
Yeah,
to work the middle. So,
which could also
but
be why Corey Jensen his score might be a bit inflated with the 57 as well.
I get too excited
So
about Corey.
unfortunately, this is another one where the minutes are all over the shop because of the HIA to Piacora, which stung a lot of coaches, not Jake, luckily, but yeah, it stung a lot of coaches. So yet again, I know we're just going to have to watch again. Got a few questions. Well, I got Danny Rowe here. Why is everyone freaking out about Piacora? Why are people wanting to rage trade? He'll play round 2, right? Definitely don't rage trade him. You got him in for a purpose and a reason. Can't say if he's going to play round 2. They play in 11 days. The stand-down protocol, the 11 days. So we believe he will be able to play if he passes all those protocols, but it is definitely not a given. So if you owned Piacura, Jake, you wouldn't be panicking right now, right? You only got to see a small sample size. You picked the guy
Yeah,
for a reason.
yeah. I mean, he's not going to get knocked out every game. You kind of have to put that to the side. Even price wise, even if he comes out the next, assuming he plays the next game, which assuming he passes everything, he'll be fine. The next 2 games, say he goes 50 and 50, maybe Jagan taking stat, he's not going to be losing money because this 4 that he just scored is only for one price rise. So yeah, I wouldn't be panic selling him unless he's ruled out for the next game and you maybe short on numbers, but I wouldn't be selling him. You picked him for this. You got unlucky, unlucky for him as well. So yeah, not a one you'd be panic selling.
It's an important note to make that. I've lost my train of thought there. Yeah, not to with the scoring. So if you score, obviously your first score, that is the first score that's going to drop out of your rolling average when these break evens start to cash in after round 3. So it's an important note to make that. Yeah, obviously a nice big score for their first round is going to be great for cash generation, but it's also going to be the first score out of their game. That's why it's also important. Like someone might bang out 100, but next week they bang out a 20, and all of a sudden that massive score is going to get compromised. And if they bang out another 30, then all of a sudden after that 100 goes out, you could be in trouble. So that's why we say it's always important to have a look again. Obviously, you can't do that for all of them, but try to. And anyone else, mainly for the Broncos, that have caught my attention here, or you, Jake? Anyone else you want to really cover? Apart from the news that Willison didn't make the side, Marty ended up coming in. Maybe important to note, sorry, Jake, that the Broncos might. We don't know if these sides will line up with 4 benches next week. I know, sorry, they had a hooker, but a lot of these other sides might run the 4 forwards, so keep that in mind too. Yeah, thoughts? Anyone else, Jake? Caught your eye?
Well, Ezra Mann, he was quite heavily owned off the
21.
back of his grand final heroics. Poor score, didn't really get any attacking stats, and he's never had that ceiling either. When we went through our 5-8, I know I was very against going Ezra Mann just for the fact that he's never really scored it, above 100, excluding the grand final. He's kind of shown it now. He's very, rocks or diamonds in terms of scoring, and even his diamonds aren't that expensive either. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to do some weird comparisons and trying to sound intelligent. It's just, but yeah, he was quite poor. Pat Carrigan, ignore his score. He's not going to be playing on the edge. That definitely hurt his, I guess,
output.
So.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That's all for the wrap up for the scores. Now, a couple of questions. We've got a few, and then we'll do the little quiz that I've got. We've got a few Facebook questions first. Liam Howe, are we worried about Satili's limited minutes and horrible score? And is Kepi the pick over Arrow? I'll answer that first part. If you didn't know, a bit of a knee injury. So as we mentioned just before, wait. Let's look at it again. Let's see what happens. Mormal comes out. Let's see if he's going to play, and then go with it over there. I think that's a fade. And Jake, is Kepi the pick over Arrow? Scored similar, small sample size.
I don't think you really can pick any. I think they're all kind of in the same build. I think my camera's gone, but can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Keep going, bro.
We're back. I think Totola, Arrow, Kepi, they all scored 40. I don't really expect them to improve much on that. Like we mentioned, their 4-forward bench. Arrow was playing a bit on the edge as well. I kind of would be avoiding all of them. Kepi's 380. It's not like he's under 300k getting a bit of value out there. They're kind of going to score what they're priced at or even lose money. So I'll be waiting for these next 6 games and hopefully finding a different player in there. Go to a Terrell May.
Yeah, agree with you there. We got Bradley Baxter. Have Pasecco and Arrow at the moment. Would trading them to May and Haas round 2 be an overreaction? The trade would potentially set and forget my front row, bearing injuries and suspension. Also, all right, so let's answer that part before I go to the second part of his question. Is it an overreaction? It's a tough question to answer because both those guys are a good option, but you've also only seen 2 games. So wait and see how the rest of them go. But at the same time, could be 2 really good pickups over the 2 guys that he has. I think he's going to need to sell one of them to a better option.
Yeah, you don't really want to be using a bunch of trades on front row, though. I know you're going to kind of eventually have to do it, but we're going to have other problems in other positions. So you don't want to be using 2 of your probably boosted 3 trades just doing a front row who, their scoring range is 40 to 70 or 40 to 65. You'd rather go someone who has big money making potential, or started so hot you want some of their high scoring. So front row, although you've got it wrong, maybe just trade one in and then later on look to change that other one.
Yep. Yeah. And the second part of his question, also Egan, Robson, or Little as hooker one. Can't afford Grant. Mind you, we haven't seen the teams yet, so this is going to be a pre-TLT answer. I was big on Robson, and then I kind of just saw him in that game. Ugh, if you think they're going to have a bit of a comeback, maybe him, but also depending on the Dragons bench, and Little looks like he's going to be named and he's fit from that little injury scare. If he is, I might tend to lean to him. I was even looking at him as my backup hooking option. If he gets close to 80 minutes, he could be a decent option for a 458 price. So if all those guys are named and there's no Dragons utility / hooker on the bench, I'd probably say Little. Jake, do you have a different answer?
No, I agree with you there. I think, yeah. I mean, he came in, he's got a bit of an injury cloud, but they say he's going to be all right to play. But yeah, like you said, if there's no bench hooker for the Dragons, we'll take him at 450. I think he's a good enough player, loves a run, so I think it's definitely value in him.
Yeah, 100%. Get your questions in, guys. There's not heaps here. I think we've covered a lot of them. We've got Bryce here. A lot of people said Garrick, I know at centre, but after that performance, surely you compete it multiple times. Yeah. I think that was ever the issue. It was more so just at his price point, do you start with him in those positions? And if you were ballsy enough to take that risk, this is how you get ahead in SuperCoach. This is how you play the game. So, yeah, he's definitely hard on the radar now. Just, man, he comes in at a high price. And, with Garrick, he's not really going to come down much. So you're just going to have to get ready to pay up. I'd like to see it again. But it's just like we said before, like he's not even on their left edge now. And they still flicked it to the right. And every time they flicked it to the right, he's just made something happen. So, I'm going to be very vanilla and say, I want to see it happen again. I want to see another Manly performance. And it'll be I don't
want to see it again.
It'll be a very important part next week because they go up against the other winners so far of the Vegas, or the other winners in the Roosters. So this will be a big matchup next week. And I think the two teams, after the way they performed, they're very good matchups for next week because we'll be able to tell out of like people like Manu and Garrick, how they're going to go against these tougher opponents. And if all of a sudden you've got Garrick banging out 80 plus again, and same with Manu, then you're like, all right, I think that'd be enough for me if I wanted to upgrade a center wing to grab one of those guys if you can afford it. So I think a tactic is if you find yourself choosing between two, mid-rangers or cheapies, and you've got 60 to 70K left. I don't think it's the worst thing in this split round because we've already got some scorers and now we've got another 6 games. If you really like the look of one of those guys that played in those 4 games, maybe the tactic is to, if you really wanted them, hold a little bit of the money as long as you're not missing out on any key options. And you may be able to use that next week instead of using a boost or ripping your side apart to get them. I know it might seem like a silly pan because you might be jumping the gun, but it's also something to think about if you are really keen on some of these guys. Like I know if I have the option between a 230K or a 280K center wing cheapie, I might go the cheaper one if I like the security, just to have that 50-ish K to upgrade Spence if I need to. So just something to think about, guys. CGN Frag. Manu looked absolutely incredible. Looks like a serious option. We just briefly mentioned him there, but I think the Roosters are serious contenders as well. Jake, I know you're going to agree.
Yes, and unfortunately, yes, because I don't really like the Roosters. Too many of my mates are Roosters fans, so you kind of begin to hate them. But yeah, he did look incredible. Definitely a serious option as we kind of just went through. And I think the Roosters are serious contenders. Just the squad alone. They've disappointed the last 2 years. I don't think Robbo's going to let them do it 3 years in a row. So definitely contenders.
Yep, I tend to agree as well. I've said it all the past couple of years, but man, it's a great first round one by them against a grand finalist team of last year. We got Barry Henderson here, who's thinking of swapping Turbo for Brett Mullins. Thoughts?
I think I'd rather keep Turbo in his current condition because I don't think Brett Mullins is going to be much good.
Yeah, well, it's important. Like you're going back with all those guys. Like which fullback would you have had that you think would have scored pretty well? And I guess Brett Mullins at his prime definitely would have been an option. But I think I would have favoured a high scoring player back then. That is all the questions for now. We've got a little bit of time left. We're going to slowly wrap it up. So if you got a couple more, shoot them in and we'll quickly answer them. All right. onto the trivia, Jake. I'm not going to put a timer on the clock. I'm not that prepared.
Well,
I've
I'm not.
just been. Yeah, that's the point. So if anyone tuning in late, I'm starting a little bit of a segment where I'm just going to test the guys on the SuperCoach panel with their NRL trivia knowledge, because I believe if you know your SuperCoach, you should know your NRL. So we're going to test it out. We're going to be having guests on from all over podcasts throughout the year. I want to get Barnesy on, Aman from Aman Talk SuperCoach, all those kind of guys. We're going to get lined up and come in and join me and Jake on the wrap up. So I'll be doing the same mini game with anyone that jumps on. All right, Jake. It is multiple choice.
I'll hide the comments. So just in case everyone writes the answers, you can feel free to write the answers.
Yeah. If you can guess it before Jake, I'll give you a shout out.
It's usually on a bit of delay live, so it's usually a couple of seconds.
Yeah,
but
still
anyway.
Feel free to get involved. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, Jake. Honest man over here. All right. Who became the first winger to win the Wally Lewis medal as a player of the State of Origin series in 2017? Here are your choices. Dane Gagai, Brett Morris, or Darius Boyd? Player of the State of Origin series, Wally Lewis medal. Gagai, Morris, or Boyd?
Dane Gagai.
Correct. David the Dark there for Jake. All right. Who lost to the Cronulla Sharks by 1 point in the 2018 NRL Telstra Premiership semi-finals? Was it the Penrith Panthers, New Zealand Warriors, or the Sydney Roosters? We had Darius Boyd for the last one. Yep. So 2018 semi-final match. Who lost to the Sharks by 1 point? To your side, bro.
I've got no idea. So Penrith Warriors or
the Roosters?
Complete.
I don't answer this.
I don't even think Penrith might have been a bit ornery back then. Let's go the Roosters.
Incorrect, mate. It was my Panthers. You should know that one.
Panthers?
Yeah, it was. They made it through. 2018 was when we started to come a bit good. They lost that first one. They won the first one, got through to the second. Oh, no, they lost the first one, got the second one, and bombed out in straight sets. We had an answer for the Roosters there, which is the same as Jake. That's incorrect. So we got 1 from 2. I get to see guys playing from home. 50%. Okay, next question. What years did the Northern Eagles exist in the National Rugby League? Bit of a hard one here. We got 1995 to 1998, 2000 to 2002, or 1999 to 2005. That's the Northern Eagles.
99 to 2005.
Incorrect. It's 2000 to 2002.
Dang it.
Yeah, unlucky. All right, next one. All right. Australian tennis player Storm Sanders is known as a supporter of which NRL team? God, this is a stab in the dark. That's a shit one. We're going to go another one. That's a really shit one. All right, here we go. Who captained the New South Wales Blues team for the first time in 2017? James Maloney, Josh Jackson, Boyd Cordner.
Boyd Cordner.
Correct. I was going to say, you got to get that one, Jake.
What's your obsession with 2017 and 18?
Bro, this is the luck of the draw. All right, last question. Here we go. Who did the Titans play against in their first official NRL match? Was it the Broncos, the Dragons, or the Panthers? This is for a score of 3 out of 5. You need this to be competitive. Dragons, Broncos, Panthers.
You'd like to think Broncos. I'm going to go Dragons.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The score out of 3 out of 5. I don't think that's too bad of an effort, Jake.
I'll take it.
3 out of 5 for our first player of our little trivia show. Thanks to the guys that were playing along with us. We got a few guys that got the answers correct. We're bang on near an hour. I'm happy with that. We'll be back next week, hopefully on either Sunday or Monday, wrapping up the remaining 6 games. Yeah. Tune in tomorrow with Jake. Jake's with me. With Tim and Sabs as they will review the TLT. Good luck to everyone else. Don't feel undermined if you haven't started so well. You've still got a lot of games left, and I know Piakura and all that might sting, but they are highly owned. Let's just hope your pods fire. So good luck to everyone else. We'll see you guys back next week. Thanks as always, Jake, for coming on, mate, and good luck with the rest of your side for this week.
Yeah, you too, Mikey, as always, mate. Well hosted.
Thank you.
He's even gone out and become a quiz host now as well. So looking
just
forward
wanted
to seeing who beats me whenever we get our next guest on, because I'm sure they'll probably beat me.
Yeah, we're also going to start pulling some guys from the SC experience in Grant, Hads, and the real super coach lurker, Justin Tabane. So we'll be getting them all on. So yeah, Vegas, what a round. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for live on YouTube. Leave some questions if you really want them. We'll try and get back to them. But we'll see you guys next week. Good luck.
So.